I got a new gas strut for the hatch. It is a 10mm ball. They're pretty standard. 24 inch is the one that I ordered. It looks like it's a little short, but it'll be alright. When I was taking the old one off, I went to tighten the ball on there and it just snapped off. So I bought a set on Amazon. Nice. Got the new stud in. I had to open up the back to get to the nut that broke off, but it's in there and it works. So this episode we're going to work on the paint, getting some of the dents out, getting it cleaned up. I've already started sanding on a little bit. I want to preface this with, I don't know what I'm doing. This is not a how-to video. This is a how I did it video. So do some research, watch some videos of professionals, because I might just fuck all this up. So we know we're working with probably a pretty thick single-stage enamel. So we've got some room to work with as far as cutting it, sanding it. I really don't want to go too far and sand through the paint, and then we got to fix that. But we're just going to work our way around. I'm going to start up on the hood. We're going to try and get it a little nicer looking, a little shinier looking. There's a couple spots on the paint where I kind of have played with the buffer just to see what it looks like. But there's a lot of it that's still very hazy and oxidated. So we're going to wet sand and buff and try and get this thing looking a little more like this. You can see the spot that I've been working here versus the spot I haven't worked and the spot I didn't sand enough. So I'm okay with that. If I can get the whole thing to look like this kind of spot, that'd be alright. So I guess you're going to see a time lapse of me just sanding and polishing for the next 30 minutes. Okay, I went down a grit. So we were kind of here, and I went from 1,000 grit to 1,500 to 2,000 and around a polish, and it's much better. You can still see there's some inclusions in the paint, but that looks much better. After one round of some light sanding and some polish, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell on the camera here, but it's still super cloudy and pitted. Trying to get a good angle where you can kind of see what I'm talking about. It looks fine if the light's on it just right, but like, you know, these edges really cleaned up, but the flat surfaces are still really bad. Do we scuff the whole thing and repaint it? Do we do like a Poppy's Patina Vice Grip Garage clear coat thing? I hadn't messed with it over here yet. Here you can really see how cracked and pitted the paint is, but once we get into the spot where we have polished it a little bit, the color comes back, but it's still super not great. You're starting to get to see all the dents in the hood. I don't know. I really don't want to repaint the whole car. Is this good enough? How far do we sand it? Well, eventually we're going to get to the point where we're just going to have to repaint it. Some of it is okay. Like up here, I mean, we have all this, but all this looks good. There's some spots on the roof that are better, but man, it's going to be a lot of work to get this to be a shiny turd. So here's the process I kind of figured out. I'm sanding and then polishing. So I'm gonna have to go a little more sandpaper on this one. I sanded all this and then just buffed this half, and it's better, but there's still some of that fogginess. Just some, I guess that's oxidation. Where I did it 2 passes with the sanding and buffing it, it's much clearer, much cleaner looking. So we're just gonna get after it. So that's after 3 passes. It's smooth, but it's still full of inclusions, and I mean, it's kind of hard to see exactly what I'm looking at. It just isn't coming as straight as I want, so I'm going to go back into sanding, and then we're going to go down to 1500 grit. So that's the first pass with this heavy cut compound. It looks better, but you can still see there's a lot of pitting and oxidation. I'll probably go back over it a time or two and just see if it gets any better before I try sanding it more. Now we're getting somewhere. Still not perfect, but I think that's good enough. If I can get the whole car to look like that, I'll be happy. So I'm going to do one more pass with the Meguiar's mirror polishy stuff. Just to see if we can get any more clarity out of it before I say that's good enough. I switched to a softer pad. I think that's about as good as we're going to get it. It's fine. It looks fine. A coat of wax on there will probably bring it out a little bit. There's still some weird spots. I'm thinking this was probably bird poop that sat there forever. There's still chips in it. But all in all, that's pretty good. So I'm going to go back. I'm just going to sand everything with 1500. Get it where it needs to be. And then we go back and buff the whole hood. And we'll do a reveal at the end. And then we got to do the whole rest of the car. Luckily, it's little. So what I'm looking for in the sanding is an even finish. So here is a good example. It's nice and flat, but then you get here and you can see there's still some shiny. Anywhere there's still shiny, it's still showing through. But after you sand it down for a while, you start losing. So there's a spot. It just gets this nice smooth matte finish that we can polish out. But we're getting there. I switched to a different sandpaper, and it's leaving these little curly Q swirlies everywhere. I don't know if that's just a cheap sandpaper thing, but I gotta redo this whole section. I don't know if I'm just doing something wrong, but don't buy cheap sandpaper. I got some new stuff coming tomorrow. And we can get back to work. Well, that took the better part of my Saturday. Still gotta figure out what's going on right here. But man, that looks pretty dang good. You can still see all these spots, and I'm assuming most of that was where the moss was kind of growing into the paint. It's probably thick enough paint for me to sand them all out, and get it really, show car-y, but I really don't care, and it's hot. When you're buffing paint, especially on an older car, and you're not really sure of the condition of the paint, I know we just watched me do it, but on a body line, a hard line like this, the thinnest paint is going to be on the ridges. So you don't want to ride the buffer across those. I had one spot here that's kind of hard to see, but we started burning through the paint and getting down to the primer. There's this light spot right here. So obviously I don't care because there's a chip right there. But if I were to just ride this edge with the buffer, eventually it would all leave a streak like that. There's a lot of really good videos on how to buff paint. Junkyard Diggs has several videos. His dad's a big paint and body guy that does some really killer work on older cars. So just do your research, and if you're going to try something like this, just watch a couple people do it first. Even if they're bad at it, you learn what not to do. I'm going to call the passenger side done. I'm going to run over and do the driver's side real quick and then start on the roof. I just barely bumped it and it popped right off. Glad it happened now instead of on the side of the road somewhere and I lost it. A good trick for getting this stuck on glue stuff off is to get a razor blade and wrap the ends of it in tape. That way it'll keep it off your paint, but it'll still scrape anything that's sticking up over it. We're using the 3M plastic emblem and trim adhesive to get it back on. I got a little bit more to clean up on the back here, but the fender is clean. I was going to go ahead and pull the driver's side one off too, just to be sure, but this one feels like it's been glued on there previously. It doesn't seem like it's going anywhere, so I think it's safe. I definitely want to try and get this dent out of the corner of the roof. It'd probably be really easy if I could just take the headliner out, but on these cars, the headliner is like glued in wallpaper. It doesn't come out. It's a single piece. So I took the sun visor out, and I can kind of get to it through that hole. So we're going to work on that. I got a bunch of it out, but it cracked the paint. You can see some kind of the little stiff edges there where the screwdriver kind of poked. We'll try and body work it a little bit. I've got some filler and stuff. I really didn't want to have to paint anything else, but that's going to be too obvious to not do it. Here's my dent fix. I'm going to start putting a couple little light coats on there. It didn't pull the dent all the way out, but it's enough that you can't really see it unless you catch the light right. But it's much better than it was, and as long as the paint turns out okay, I think we'll be okay there. Alright, we're done with buffing. This side turned out the best on the whole car. Man, I wish I get the whole thing to look like that. Now that the roof's pretty much done, I want to finish up painting the stripes and get all that figured out before I pull it out and wash it. The best way I've found to do the stripes, because I haven't been able to find a sticker that I can cover them with, is to just paint it on there. And then tape over what you don't want to get back painted gray. It's a lot easier than masking the gray all off. Just trim our ends and spray over it. Looks pretty good for a coat. Voila. The stripe on the rear bumper taped up. I'm going to go ahead and get that painted now. Well, you get the idea. Turned out pretty sharp. I just have a little peel off right there, but I can fix that. There's still some spots on the hood. There's dents on every panel. It's never going to be perfect, but I think it looks pretty good. Especially considering what it looked like a few months ago. Next thing we're going to work on is probably going to be some suspension stuff. I'm still looking for a set of front and rear shocks. I've got a plan for the leaf spring. And then we need to get out and drive this thing. Make sure it doesn't overheat and maybe get it out to a car show. One more finishing touch. I was trolling eBay, as one does, and there was a guy selling a GVX badge. That's the only one I was missing. The car came out pretty good. There's still some spots here and there, but if you go back and look where we started, this car, it looks like a whole different car. But that's going to do it for now. Hope everyone has a happy 4th of July weekend, and I'll see you next time.